We continue now at the top of Daf Kuf Chaf Aleph Amud Beis in Meseches Bava Basra. This is Bava Basra Daf 121b. On the previous summit, the Gemara was explaining why Tu B'Av, why the 15th of Av, is considered to be a day of celebration. And the Gemara now is in the middle of explaining that this was the day that the generation of the Midbar, that they finished dying. And the Gemara says, as the Master says, until they finished dying, Lo Haya Dibor in Moshe, there was no speech from HaKadosh Baruch Hu directly with Moshe. Shenemar, as the pasuk says, Vayikasher Tamu Kol Anshe HaMilchama Lamos Mikerav Ha'am, when that generation, when those men, when they finished dying from among the nation, V'samach Lei, the pasuk nearby says, Vayadaber Hashem Elai Lemor, that Hashem spoke to me saying, Elai Haya HaDibor. It was at that point in time that there was a speech from HaKadosh Baruch Hu directly to Moshe Rabbeinu. And the Gemara continues with another explanation why Tu B'Av is considered a day of celebration. Ula Amar Ula says, Yom Shabitel Bo Hoshea ben Eila, that was the day that Hoshea ben Eila, he nullified the Pardesos Shehoshev Yeravam al Hadrachim. Yeravam ben Nevat, he set up guards along the road, Shelo Yalu Yisrael L'Regel, in order to prevent Klal Yisrael from going to the Regel. This is when the kingdom was split between the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, and people from the northern kingdom until this point in time were prevented from going to the Beis HaMikdash, and it was on this day, on Tu B'Av, that they were no longer prevented from doing so. And the Gemara continues, Rav Masna Amar, Rav Masna says, Yom Shenitnu Haruge Beitar L'Kvura, this was the day that those who were killed in Beitar, they were able to be buried. That's what happened on Tu B'Av. To Amar Rav Masna, because Rav Masna says, also Hayom Shenitnu Haruge Beitar L'Kvura, that day when those who were killed in Beitar were able to be buried, Tiknu B'Yavna Hatov V'Hametiv, they instituted in Yavna the bracha of Hatov HaMeitiv, Hatov Shelo Hisrichu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was good because the bodies did not decompose. VaHaMeitiv, and the word HaMeitiv is Shenitnu L'Kvura, that they were able to be buried. And the Gemara continues with another explanation why Tu B'Av is a day of celebration. Rabba v'Rav Yosef, Da'amri Tarvayu, Rabba and Rav Yosef, they both say, Yom Shepozkin Bo Milichros Eitzim L'Maracha. That was the day that they stopped cutting wood. This was the wood that was used on the Mizbeach. And the Gemara continues along these lines. Tanya, it was taught in a Brayso. Rabbi Eliezer HaGadol Omer, Rabbi Eliezer HaGadol says, Kevon Shehigia Chamisha Asr B'Av, once the 15th of Av arrived, Tashash Kocha Shel Chama, that's when the sun gets a little weaker, it's not as hot. This is in the summertime. So at that point in time, they stopped cutting wood for the Mizbeach. The idea is that the wood has to be totally dry, so you cut it when it's very hot outside. Once the 15th of Av came along, so they no longer will cut the wood because it wasn't considered dry enough. And the Gemara continues, Amar of Menashe. Rav Menashe says, V'karu le Yom Tavor Magel. That day is referred to as the day that they break the axes. They would break the axes as a symbol of the fact that they were no longer cutting the wood for the Mizbeach. And the Gemara continues, Mikan va'elach, from that day forward, the Mosef Yosef, if somebody adds on to his learning at night, the idea over here is that the days are now starting to become shorter, these days of the summertime, and so therefore if you want to keep up your level of learning, you have to learn at night as well. So the person who adds on to his learning has added on. She'eno Mosef, but the person who does not add on, so Yosef, so he is Yosef. And the Gemara says, Ma Yosef, what exactly does this expression mean? What does Yosef mean? Tani Rav Yosef taught, Tikbere Ime, it means that his mother will bury him. The idea is then he'll have, if he learns more, he'll have a long life, but otherwise he will die early. And the Gemara continues, Tanu Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, Shiva Kiplu Eskola Olam Kulu, there are 7 individuals who they saw each other in their life, it spans the life of the entire world. And that is as follows, Mesushelach Ra Adam, Mesushelach he saw Adam Harishon, Shem Ra Mesushelach, Shem saw Mesushelach, Yaakov Ra as Shem, Yaakov saw Shem, Amram Ra as Yaakov, Amram saw Yaakov, Achia Hashiloni Ra as Amram, Achia Hashiloni he saw Amram, and Eliyahu Ra as Achia Hashiloni, Eliyahu saw Achia Hashiloni, V'adayin Kayim, and Eliyahu Navi is still alive, and so that spans the entire world. And the Gemara continues, Va'achia Hashiloni Ra as Amram, is it really true that Achia Hashiloni saw Amram? That doesn't make sense, because that means he was in the Midbar, he should have been the generation of the Midbar, and all of that generation died. V'aksib, but isn't it written, V'lo nosar mehemish, ki im Kalev ben Yefune, v'Yoshua ben Nun, it says the only ones that were remaining were Kalev and Yehoshua, so how is it that Achia, how did he survive the Midbar? And the Gemara answers, Amar Rav Hamnuna says, Lo nigzer gezeira al shivto shel Levi, there was no such decree against Shevet Levi, he was part of Shevet Levi. Techsiv, as it's written by Midbar, Hazeh yiplu pegreichem v'chol pegudechem l'chol misparchem iben esrim shana v'mal. It says everyone's going to die from 20 years and older. And what does that mean? Misha pekudav mi ben esrim, it means from those shvatim which are counted from the age of 20. Yatza shivto shel Levi, that excludes the tribe of Levi. Shepekudav mi ben shloshim, they're counted from 30. Some explain this means they're they're counted from 30 days old, and some say it means they're counted from 30 years old when they enter into their service into the Beis HaMikdash. In any case, the Gemara continues, Umishar Shvatim lo ayil, but from other Shvatim, nobody made it into Eretz Yisrael. That's not true. Vatanya, but we learned in a brayso, so Yoir ben Menashe, Machir ben Menashe, noldu bimei Yaakov, Yoir the son of Menashe, and Machir the son of Menashe, they were born during the days of Yaakov, so they were the generation that was in the wilderness. V'lo mesu ad shenichnesu Yisrael la'aretz, but they didn't die until Klal Yisrael entered Eretz Yisrael. They did make it to Eretz Yisrael, and how do we know that? Shenemar, because it says in the pasuk, Vayakum mehem anshe ha'ai kishloshim v'shisha ish. This is a pasuk in Sefer Yoshua. It says that the people of Ai, it says that they struck 36 men. Betanyan, we learned in a brayso, Shloshim v'shisha mamish divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says it means actually 36 people that they killed. Amar lo Rabbi Nechemya. Rabbi Nechemya says v'chi nemar shloshim v'shisha v'halo lo nemar la kishloshim v'shisha. It doesn't say 36. It says kishloshim v'shisha ish. And so therefore, what's that actually referring to? Elozeh Yoir ben Menashe. Rather, that refers to the fact that they killed Yoir, the son of Menashe, Sheshakal Keruba Shal Sanhedrin. 36 is the majority of the Sanhedrin. The Sanhedrin is 71, so 36 is the majority, and he was like a majority. He was so great, he was like a majority of the Sanhedrin. That's what the pasuk is referring to. And so you see that he did make it into Eretz Yisrael, and Yoir ben Menashe, of course, not from the tribe of Levi. And so the Gemara answers, Elo Amar Ravacha bar Yaakov. Rather, Ravacha bar Yaakov says, Lo nigzura gzeira lo al pachos mi ben esrim, velo al yeser mi ben shishim. There was no gezeira on anyone who was less than 20 at that time that the decree was made that they would die in the midbar, or if the person was older than 60 at that time, lo al pachos mi ben esrim. If the person was younger than 20, there's no gezeira dechsiv, as it's written, mi ben esrim shana v'mala. It says from 20 years and older. Velo al yeser mi ben shishim. But also if the person was older than 60, and the idea is that Yoir ben Menashe was older than 60 at this time. So velo al yeser mi ben shishim. If he's more than 60, there's no gezeira. Gamar v'mala mi erchen. We learned that out from the word v'mala. It says v'mala by erchen as well. And the idea is that when erchen is an evaluation, it's a fixed evaluation based on the gender and the age of the individual. And the idea is ma'lahalon yeser mi ben shishim kepachos mi ben chaf. Just like by erchen, if a person is older than 60, that's similar to if he's less than 20, in the sense that there's a different fixed value for the individual. Afkan, so to over here, yeser mi ben shishim kepachos mi ben esrim. Somebody who was older than 60 was like somebody less than 20. The gezeira did not apply, and that's why the gezeira did not apply to Yoir ben Menashe. And the Gemara continues, they had the following question. Eretz Yisrael l'shvatim iflug, odil malakarkav gavri iflug. When they divided up Eretz Yisrael, did every shevet, was it divided according to the shvatim, that every shevet got an equal share in the land? Or maybe no, maybe it was every individual got an equal share in the land. So of course if a shevet was a little larger, they would get a larger portion. And we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Kuf Chaf Beis Amud Aleph.